Alright, what's going on, you fam? Raiyuden here. So as you see here, I completed the 4th rush, Ultra Space Time Rush stage. So I figured I'd share what my ticket summon was for you guys. Hopefully you guys got the new Goku from this. A lot of you guys have dropped comments saying that you finally got the new Goku, which is good to hear. It's great that they're releasing different ways to get the tickets and give people new chances. If you can't complete the rush stages, keep in mind there's going to be new ways to get the tickets, new missions, who knows what they are. Now out of my ticket summon I got the Goten, which is nice. I really like Goten, the Legends Limited Goten. I like his blast animation, I'm not sure why. It's just a silly way for him to throw Ki Blast, but I don't know, I like it. It just syncs really well with charge stepping and stuff. Now in terms of today's video, I figured I'd give myself a bit of a break and not use any crazy teams, because the meta right now is very competitive and lots of strong teams. So this time I decided to use a team that Christian suggested, using the Broly, the Bardock, and the Transforming Green Gohan for a neat little Trinity team. Anything that has Broly on it I'll go ahead and use, so it's rather interesting. Looks like the main purpose of the team is just to have high HP. I know it's going to be a little bit difficult because one of the reasons why Broly is not used that often anymore is because he has no real self buffs. It's not that his stats are bad, it's that he doesn't have self buffs. Earlier in the life of the game, high flat stats really determine the difference, but now it's all about how the unit's able to buff itself. Like, take a look at Super Vegito. His stats, if you were to compare it back then, are, they're about average, but what really makes him scary is the fact that he's constantly buffing himself and adding to it. That's what the game is like right now. So it'll be an interesting team. Let's just see what it's like. Alrighty, here's the first match of the video, going up against a Lineage of Evil team. No surprise at all, they're rampant, one of the best teams in the meta right now. I gotta admit, it was a little bit frustrating using this team, just because of how well Lineage of Evil counters you. It's very difficult to use the team. When you're facing off against Lineage of Evil, they do everything so well that the only way to really go toe-to-toe with them is to just go into a crazy slugfest. You need a very strong team to counter that very strong team. So this team right here, they have very good amounts of health. As you can see, like, this Gohan has 1.6 mil, Broly when he transforms has 2.1 mil. They have very good amounts of HP, but it's not that. You need damage. You need a very high amounts of damage to come out in order to go toe-to-toe with them. So it was very, very difficult, especially with that full power Frieza. Oh man, he was so hard to deal with. Like, the strongest guy on your team here is either the Broly or the Gohan, but they get countered so easily. Thankfully, Broly has really good defense stats after all this time. So, in terms of taking hits, the team wasn't bad. But in terms of dishing out damage, it was a little difficult, not gonna lie. Very, very difficult. It didn't help that a lot of my matches today were very, very laggy, and all my rising rushes kept getting guessed. So it's one of those days where nothing goes right for you, so it can be frustrating. And usually your first few matches set the tone for the rest of the day. So if your first couple of matches are laggy and it frustrates you, then you're kind of set on a bad path for the rest of the day. And another thing that sucks is there's a lot of paralysis that happens in this match in key moments where I wish I didn't have paralysis. So you saw right there with the Gohan, I had paralysis come through even though I didn't want it to happen. I mean, no one wants paralysis to happen, but it came at such a bad time. It sucked. Do some really good damage. Well, I mean, decent damage, I suppose. But, we're going to get rid of Chilled here just because I don't want to deal with Chilled right now. As you know, Chilled is going to make my team basically do nothing if I were to kill him for about 15 timer counts. So may as well get rid of him and make sure I deal with everyone else. So I'm very happy that the Golden Frieza is the first one that's gone. I definitely wanted him out of the way so I could use my Super Saiyan Bardock safely. I need him. He's absolutely critical for this team for the critical damage. We're banking on it. Got a nice little green card, get to heal up. Bardock has some really good vanish restore speed, which is quite nice. I noticed that so many units just vanish, so they get the vanish restore speed so quickly. And you know what? That moment right there, there's something I want to bring up. I feel like they need to add a bit of a punishment if you miss a blue card. Like being able to just chuck a blue card and then immediately vanish, I think that's too strong. You know, it's a super powerful move. There should be an associated risk towards it. I mean, that's the argument that they use for the Rising Rush. If you use a Rising Rush and you miss, you should get punished for it. It doesn't make any sense to be able to use this, you know, character slaughtering move and then you have no risk behind it. Because as you remember before, Rising Rush, you just chuck it, and if your opponent vanished, people would just use a strike card or whatever and just go ahead and take priority back with it. So they changed it so that you had a small window of opportunity because your opponent wouldn't be able to attack. I feel like blue cards deserve something like that as well, because as you can see, it's just, they're so strong and there's little to no risk when using them. Your opponent, if he misses, he'll just vanish. And then right there, for some reason he shoulder tackled. I don't understand why. I never pressed anything. And then he gets the Rising Rush, which is not looking good for me. I can't afford to lose anyone. What I'm really counting on for this team is being able to get out of the way from damage and then trying to hurt as much as I can. This is like, using this team is like a Dark Souls boss. You cannot afford to slug it out. You gotta use your vanish. You gotta do everything you can to not get hit. Switch into the Bardock here. Now I know Lord Chilled's thing is out, so I'm not gonna be doing significant amounts of damage, but I was hoping that with the crits, I would be able to do enough damage. I know I probably shouldn't have chosen the blue card, but I just wanted to be safe. I just wanted to bring down his HP as much as I could, honestly. And you know what? It was a good thing I chose the blue card because my other choice was strike and he would have guessed that. Just want to bring him down as much as I can, just so that even if I have to power right through Chilled's passive buffing him, I would still be able to muscle right through it. Catch him there. At this point, my thumb is hurting really bad, so I can't even like properly charge steps, so I'm just trying to finish it out. And we go ahead and do that. Such a difficult unit to deal with, honestly. If you don't have a red unit, full power freeze is so annoying to deal with. Here's the second match of the video, going up against kind of a strange mixture. It's interesting that Great Saiyaman is in there, not sure why, but his main ability is very strong. Giving you the ability to feint as well as another blue card and key is pretty nice. So I can see why he would want him there. Now when I start these matches, I like to start out with the Gohan just because out of everyone, he's the one that I don't mind taking a bit of damage, honestly. And for his team, most people start out with the Golden Frieza, so most people will assume that you're starting out with the Bardock, just because, you know, if the whole premise is your crits, you always want to swap into someone and dish out as much damage as you can. But if you don't start out with him, then you can sort of catch him off guard. Look at that health, 2.1 mil, very good amounts of health. I feel like everyone is rapidly adapting to how to properly fight in the game right now. I mentioned it yesterday, but people are getting better. So every time you get a vanish off, immediately people go for a tap attack to shut you out. It's getting, I will admit, it does get frustrating sometimes. It does get very, very frustrating to deal with because, you know, you're always thinking, okay, nice, it's my opportunity to get priority back, and then they shut you out with a tap attack, and then they dodge, and you lose priority. You're like, ugh. And then I'm also having difficulty swiping back in order to miss their tap attack, so the whole combination of things is just irritating, really. And then, of course, we lose the Broly, which really sucks. I really didn't want to lose him. After all, he's my favorite character, and I needed him for dishing out damage, so... Thankfully, the green Gohan here, he's type neutral for a little bit once you get his main ability off, but I didn't even have him vanish, which sucks. Figured I'd go ahead, do as much damage as I can here. Just trying to buy time, saving that Rising Rush for the Golden Frieza, because he's the one who deserves to get hit by it. So... finally we get our main ability off. I wanted to go for a second charge step first, just because I knew I'd probably get another card, and then we can go ahead and take out Great Saiyaman. I need to be very careful not to lose the Bardock. I need him. His critical passive is going to be, well, critical for this. Pop the green card, heal him a little bit, see if he can take some more hits. Comes in with the shoulder tackle. I was hoping I could catch him on the sidestep, but he gets me one of those. Bardock's tanking pretty well, but then he switches into the Golden Frieza. I spoke too soon and I end up losing him. All I gotta do now is make him use his Vanish, so I pop the ultimate and then I go for my Rising Rush. been a pretty trusty tool for getting people to use their Vanish, because it feels like this meta right now, there's a lot of passive play. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but I feel like the new characters really favor a meta more towards people that play passively. And if you're an aggressive player like myself, where you like to always initiate and get the fight going, you're at a really bad, you're at a huge disadvantage, just because your opponent is always going to be ready for it, while you sometimes won't be. You will fall victim to the perfect Vanish, and it happens all the time. I feel like my opponents get perfect Vanishes quite often. So I don't know, I was considering changing up my fighting style a little bit, just so I could be a little bit more careful with all this stuff. I used the green card earlier, just for whatever. I mean, I had it there. I didn't want it to take up a card slot. There was no one to swap out to, so I may as well. Then you'll notice here, there's like this tiny blip of lag that's just so rather frustrating to see. So I shut out anything he can do here, but now you'll notice it's lagging. So I go for a blast card, and this is what I mean by it's frustrating. If the lag wasn't there, I would have got it off, but because the lag was there, he comes in with a Rising Rush that turns it around, and this happens all the time. People constantly do this. I really hope this giant update that they claimed and made us go through is actually going to lead to something. I noticed there are some performance improvements, which is quite nice, but if the core of the game is terrible, aka the PvP experience, which right now it kind of is, then it would be great. I mean, like, the feature upgrade means nothing. The update meant nothing. If you guys are planting the seeds for something big, then at least tell us. At least tell us that, hey, dedicated servers are coming. That's what this big patch is for. Don't leave people in the dark to assume and hope, only to be disappointed, because then they're just going to get frustrated like I am right now. It's very frustrating to deal with the lag. You can be patient for only so long. At this point, it just gets annoying. But anyways, catch the Goten, doing some okay damage, I suppose. I spent the morning trying to farm up some equipment for Bardock, just because I wanted his, I wanted that Krillin equipment where he says, wait a sec. I wanted the additional critical and the additional strike damage, because it's quite nice. It's also good passive against the Sun Family units, just because, you know, the Sun Family team is predominantly Hybrid Saiyans, so it would be good in order to tank against them. But man, it took me like 1,000 pieces of equipment just to get one S. My goodness. I wish they would let us, you know. Oh, thank you for the subscription there. It would be nice if they let us sell more than 20 pieces of equipment at once, and they would let us exchange more than 10. You know, for the Z Metal shop, you can only exchange 10 at a time. Only 1,000 Z Metal at a time there. So it would be nice to be able to purchase more than just 10 pieces of equipment at a time, because I mean, it just makes equipment farming better. It'll just make it easier. It's already a bit of a chore to deal with. May as well just make it easier, no? Do some decent damage. Failed a charge stab. I was hoping I could use his main ability, but I guess not. We have a green card there. Go ahead for the heal. Heal a little bit amount. Catches me with the little bait there, so I swap out to the Gohan. Got a nice little blue card, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's a good way to... I just gotta find a window of opportunity to bait out somebody so I can use this Rising Rush. But oof, this Gohan with the crits, my goodness. So much damage. He's a very good card. I like him quite a bit. I got 2 green cards here, so I'm thinking I'll swap into the Bardock and use him to heal up, but I didn't get that window of opportunity. I went straight for an attack and ended up, you know, suffering for it. Goten is just going off with his crits. Just listen to the amount of crits he's getting. I was thinking, I was like, oh, Broly, are you okay? Are you dead? I was so sure that he died from this. Just listen to the crits. Just constant crits. I thought he was dead, but he ended up surviving it. And then he swaps into the Goku, so it couldn't have been any better. Get the Rising Rush going. Now I have 2 green cards, so I figure I'll just choose one of them to take this guy out. I don't want to deal with a dude that just floats back with his blue card, because that's what most people do with this Goku, so I didn't want to deal with that. Top priority is just get rid of him. Everyone else is more manageable, so we get the Rising Rush and we finally take him out. 2.8 mil is not bad. Now all we really have to deal with is the Goten here. Finally get the Vanish, which is quite nice. And that right there is why Broly was so good when he first came out. The critical hits combined with his dangerous flat stats. Crazy combination. He just tore everyone a new one. And then we just take care of the Bardock. I saw him coming in with a shoulder tackle. That's the third and final match of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Good luck to everyone that's farming up the tickets. I hope you get the new Goku. But if you can't get all the rushes done, like the first 3 are very easy. 4 and 5 are quite challenging, but if you can't get those done, do keep in mind that there will be more missions, I believe, to farm more tickets. So, good luck everyone.